Making a graceful exit is a difficult thing to do. It was hard for me to retire from the Navy Reserve. I knew it was time. In fact, it was probably overtime at that time. I had committed to retiring after my second deployment to Afghanistan. And it was due in no small part to a conversation that my wife and I had before that deployment had started. I told her because I had needed to make a deal with her to rapidly deploy almost back to back from the first time to the second time with only a 3-month break, that if we agreed that I could do that second deployment for over a year, I would be more than happy to finish my time in the Navy Reserve and retire within just a few years after that last deployment. I was hoping for my next promotion. I was a bit disappointed yet relieved that I didn't receive it. At that point, I had a conversation with the family and I said, I'm going to finish. I'm going to retire at the end of this year. I also called up my commanding officer and I explained to him that it was time for me to spend more time with my family. He completely agreed with my choice. No opposition to my decision whatsoever. And he even said, "You deserve that." What really struck home was when my wife was having a conversation with our youngest daughter. They were on the way to the library in Plano, Texas. And Anya looked at Snezhana and she said, "I'm glad that Daddy's retiring. Now he can spend more time with me." As leaders, it's tough to know when to let go. It's a challenge to know when to gracefully bow out, especially when there's been a lot of success, team success, organization success, even that personal sense that things couldn't get any better than this. And the truth is, that's probably the best time to move on to the next thing. Not everybody gets a chance to leave at a high point. In fact, the way that I describe my 2 deployments to Afghanistan is similar to Peyton Manning and having 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams, the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos, and him being able to say, "I'm done. I'm finished. I'm leaving at the top of my game." I think for leaders, being able to have that moment of clarity to say, you know what? This is good enough. In fact, this is great. It's time for me to move on. Those moments of clarity, because they do come occasionally from time to time. When you've done well at one company and you're ready and you know that you should move on and take greater responsibility at the next. You've nurtured a not-for-profit organization and you know that closing out that chapter is the right thing to do for the organization. There's nothing wrong with bowing out gracefully. In fact, I wish that more people had the self-awareness to do that, myself included. There's always a right time. And in leadership, you should always be preparing the people that will follow you and walk that path behind you once you've taken a different path. Never forget, leaders create leaders. And bowing out gracefully in order to allow somebody else to step in and step up is always the right thing to do.